Hi, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment here with my co-host Manny for our April 2026 State of the Saga discussion.
So I'm Manny, and in these monthly update shows, we'll be talking about what we've been listening to, playing, reading, and or watching, and probably also just general stuff that's going on with our lives and maybe even some recent pop culture happenings.
Before we get started, just a heads up that you can follow me and therefore all of the Geek Saga endeavors at A Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Menissimo Art, which has been a ghost town probably since the middle of last year, but I promise I will update it at some point.
All right, just a few house cleaning items before we dig in. First, thank you to any patrons who are joining us for the patron-only live stream version of this month's State of the Saga. Second, thank you to any patrons who are watching the early release of the live stream recording. You guys are all such a big part of helping us keep the lights on, so to speak, for Geek Saga Entertainment. And we truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you and the support you give. Finally, if you're watching or listening to this recording once it's gone public, keep in mind that we record these approximately 2 to 2.5 weeks prior to their public release. And also, pretty please make sure to hit those like and or subscribe buttons. And if you're catching this somewhere where you can give it a rating, it would really help us out if you could mark it 5 stars. Also, if you aren't already part of our Patreon family, please check out our sponsorship options. For just $5 a month, you can watch our State of the Saga episodes live and get access to our show notes. While for just $3 a month, you get early access to the recordings of these State of the Saga episodes and all podcast episodes, among some other fun content. Check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
With all that out of the way, we are going to get into our discussion. We're going to kick this month's episode off with news and or general gossip.
I just have a couple funny things here. First off, LOL, bro cruise. This was a viral thread on Threads, capital T. It was basically this woman from Raleigh, North Carolina, whose guy best friend was going on a bachelor cruise, like a 3-day, I think, maybe 4, but I think it was just 3-day cruise for this groom's, his bachelor party, whatever. And it started off as her guy friend is very much a planner. And he was like, oh my God, like I showed up here and one of these guys doesn't have a hotel room for the night before we go. Cause they all showed up in Miami a day early. So he's like, one of these guys doesn't have a hotel room and he thinks he can just like walk up and get a hotel room. It was spring break week and
yeah, I know.
Yeah. So like it started off like that. And the funny thing was it actually became this really kind of heartwarming thing where like none of the guys were actually like really bad. She didn't name them. She never showed any of their faces. Basically, people Venmo'd her friend money or Venmo'd money to her, I guess, to send to her friend so that he could pay for Wi-Fi on the ship so that he could update her and therefore keep this viral story going. I mean, and when I say viral, it was huge. Like there's a whole YouTube video series that's like a girl doing a recap where she just reads the threads about it and everything. And that at one point I just gave up reading the thread and actually kept watching the videos because like the threads can be really hard to keep track of everything that's going on, whatever. But I don't know. It was really funny. And it was so funny that it started out as this like, oh God, what are these dudes' issues? Like what's going to go wrong? And don't get me wrong, things went wrong because at the end of the cruise, like one of them was detained and nobody ever knew why. He got released. Like it wasn't anything like he'd done something illegal or whatever. But then there were 2 other guys that were on the cruise that also got held back because they hadn't paid or settled their casino stuff. I'm guessing that means they owed money, honestly, because I feel like the cruise would have been like, we owe them money, whatever.
Yeah, bye.
It started as this whole like, oh God, what terrible things are going to happen? What terrible things are these guys going to get up to? And actually it turned out to be this really wholesome, but still very fun thing. The point where I think they only made 1 stop. I think they only stayed in Nassau. They made other island stops. I didn't notice that. But when they were in Nassau, this seaplane excursion company contacted the girl who was doing the pseudo, like not really live, but pseudo live threads. And he was like, hey, I'll give them a free seaplane, like overhead tour. They'll see their cruise ship from the sky and they'll see the island, whatever. So they got like a free excursion out of it too. And they got a whole bunch of press. The seaplane company did. It was like Seaplane SEA plane JP out of Nassau. And while they were on the seaplane, they were updating the Bro Cruise thread. I mean, it was fucking like masterclass in online marketing, honestly, because the girl who started it, she didn't start it to be some sort of marketing thing, but she owns her own business. She owns a cheese shop and high-end charcuterie board creation company in Raleigh. And I'm sure she's going to get a fuck ton of business from this now because everybody's like, wow, this girl is so fun. And also the friend that was like feeding her this information works at her shop sometimes. His nickname, by the way, became the Rat King because they were joking about him being a mole. I think it became Rat because of cheese, but his nickname was the Rat King. So she like posted, well, Rat King works in my shop sometimes. He's going to be here like on X date. He said he was okay with me telling everybody this. I don't know. I just, like I said, it started out as like, oh God, what drama are we going to find? And it turned out to be this like really wholesome thing that just, it brightened my days for like 3 or 4 days, honestly. Kudos to at Raleigh, as in the city, RALEIGH, Cheesy, CHEESY, at Raleigh Cheesy, for giving this to the masses. Honestly, it was great. I don't really have a ton of newsy stuff. I honestly haven't had time to like look up actual newsy stuff, but I did watch the new Supergirl trailer. Did you watch it? I think I sent it to you.
Yes, you did. And I did watch it. I had no idea that they were making a movie.
Oh, I did. But I was kind of like, whatever. I don't care about Superman stuff. I don't really care that much about Supergirl, like all that much. I don't care about DC in general. I love Peacemaker, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I watched that trailer and I was like, are they trying to tell me this movie is about her trying to save her fucking dog? If so, I am so down. Like, that's it. Yep. That's it. This might be the first DC movie since Wonder Woman in 2017 that I go to see in the theaters, unless I see another trailer and it's like, oh, okay, it's not actually at all about her saving her dog. Yeah. But it looks right now like that's a huge part of the storyline, is her going off to save her dog. And I am 1,000% here from that. And we'll go see this in the theater if that's what this is.
And also it has the young version of our queen.
That too, yes.
Because I love her so much. And I saw that she was, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm down just for that alone. But it is cool to watch the trailer. It just seems like a fun movie. I feel like DC, if they play their cards right, they can actually like make a turn from what they were doing from the Snyder films or whatever. I felt like the Snyder films, I felt like they just missed the mark is what it was. It's not like it's not the worst piece of garbage I've seen. It's just a piece of garbage. That's it. And look, I liked Wonder Woman, the first one. Yeah, the second one was a hot plate of garbage. I mean, that was terrible. But I still think it could have been done so much better, honestly. Like, I know people are going to hate me for it, but the movie was still kind of garbage. It was cool, but if you've watched Captain America, because it was literally almost the same plot, you know?
Very similar. Very extremely similar.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay. But, you know, I did like that movie. I enjoyed it. But I'm hoping that it seems like with this movie, they're going more for that Peacemaker flavor of kind of storytelling. Yeah. So I feel like it would be a good path for DC.
Well, and then the Superman one that came out that she had like a brief appearance and was pretty good. Like, I actually enjoyed it, which I can't say I ever really have about any Superman thing, because I think Superman's boring as fuck. I've said this before. I will continue saying it. Sorry, not sorry. So again, will I see this in theaters? I think I will, unless there's like future trailers that are like, oh, actually, it's only like 2% or 5% about her saving her dog. If it's at least, if it still looks like it's at least 25% about her saving her dog, then I will go see it in theaters.
Yeah, I am not a huge dog person, but since it has her in it, I will watch it, like regardless. She gets a free pass. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch it just because she's in it.
Well, and as we know, I am a huge dog person. So.
Yes, exactly.
The last thing I wanted to mention in newsy stuff, and again, like by the time this comes out as a podcast, this will be over and done with, and hopefully in the bestest of ways, but Artemis 2, y'all, like we're finally like sort of going to the moon again, at least in terms of taking the flight out there, and they're slingshotting around it. And as literally as we are recording this on Monday, April 6th, it is in the process of slingshotting around the moon. Its trip is currently being live streamed on like a bunch of services. Honestly, like all of them. Like, I saw Netflix, HBO, Hulu, Amazon. I was watching a little bit of it on Netflix right before we started recording. It's exciting, especially just like with this hope that very soon we will actually be hopefully setting foot on the moon again. And also, if you go on Spotify and you just search for like Artemis wake up song playlists. They've been having like wake
I
up
saw
songs
that.
every morning. They've got a pretty good set, honestly. Basically, the first thing I heard about it is one of my friends posted about it because I honestly didn't know. And she was like, LOL, today's wake up song was Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan. And I was like, oh shit, fun. So then I looked up what their wake up songs have been so far. I listened to all of them, but day one was Sleepyhead by Young and Sick. Day two was Greenlight by John Legend and Andre 3000. That one I was like, whoa, we got some millennials going on here. Day three, In a Daydream by the Freddie Jones Band. Day four was Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan. Day five was Working Class Heroes by CeeLo Green.
Wow.
Yeah, again, millennials, man. And then day six, which was today, which is the one I have not listened to yet, was Good Morning by Mandisa, and Toby Mac. Even if you're listening to this just as a podcast weeks from when we're recording it, by that time their playlist will be concluded and hopefully everything will continue to go well and we will have finally slingshotted around the moon again.
Finally. Yeah, for mine is the same thing, man. The Artemis launch. I wasn't going to miss it. So I was like, this is what I'm doing. It was great to see that they finally launched because it's been delayed, I believe, a few times at this point. So it was cool. I am disappointed that it is not an actual moon landing because originally the Artemis 2 was supposed to be like an actual moon landing, but I understand. At least we get to fly out far enough for one of two things to prove that the world is actually not flat, or for people to deny the fact that the world is round. So we got something out of it regardless.
You know that there will still be people out there doing
I know.
They'll say this was faked somehow.
Yeah. It was nice to finally see a picture of the Earth in space where you can see the stars in the background, right? Because this to me feeds into those people, those flat earthers and stuff. It's because, look, the problem is that every lie is mixed in with a bit of truth. So what you have is that every picture you see of the Earth that is from not within the past 2 years is a composite picture, right? If you watch the live feeds of the space station and you see the curvature of the Earth, that is because they are using a fisheye lens. If they used a regular camera, it would just look blue in the background with no space or anything like that. They use a fisheye lens to do that. Those are the kind of things that feed into their like madness. And look, I mean, rightfully so in the sense that you can't say, oh, this is a picture of the Earth and then not include the fact that it's being touched up or composited together. You really need to add that in there. When you don't do that, then in essence, you are lying by omission, which feeds into the trolls. So it's like, just don't do that. I know the reason why there wasn't a full shot of Earth. I never thought that Earth was flat because I have something called a telescope. I don't know if anyone else has ever heard of that technology yet, but I already knew that.
A logical working brain.
At least whatever brain cells I have left, we're still able to figure that part out. That I was like, look, it's just not.
Anyway.
Yeah, I ended all of my debates with those people. But I did want to bring up the fact that the cute thing that was going around, that somebody actually had a little kitty cat Artemis plush from Sailor Moon on the desk at Mission Control. I was like, yeah. So again, feeding into like the millennial thing, I was like, that is fucking cool, dude. That made me want to cry. I was like, oh, because anyone knows that I'm a huge fucking Sailor Moon fan. And I don't care what you say. To see that was like, oh, I don't know. It was just really cute to see that. For my next bit of news is PlayStation. I'm going to title this one, PlayStation, what the fuck are you doing? So I think we've all kind of come to the conclusion that the generation of PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, whatever the hell, has been a complete waste of time and just total garbage. When 70% of the games are coming out for both systems, there's no point in having a new system. When nothing is actually proprietary to the system game-wise anymore, it's absolutely pointless. Why are we doing all this? I don't know. So PlayStation decided, because of the RAM shortage, if you guys are unfamiliar with RAM shortage, there's been a shortage because all of the companies that are doing AI are buying up all of that stuff. So it's hiked up the market crazy. You know, so back in the day, you could have...
Yet another reason to dislike AI.
Yep. So like back in the day, you could have gotten 64 gigs of RAM for your computer and paid, I don't know, $150, 250 if you wanted to be bougie about it. Now we're looking in the price range of $800 to $900 fucking dollars. That bubble's is gonna pop, make no mistake, just like the video card crisis of a few years ago when the same thing was happening, when everybody was like mining cryptocurrency and stuff. That's when it hiked up. So now we're seeing this again, but with memory. So PlayStation has decided to raise the price of their 4-year-old, 5-year-old console now. I don't even know how old it was. By $100. So now when you wanted your bottom of the line PlayStation 5 console, some parent wants to buy it for their kid and it used to be $450. Well, no, now it's $550. And if you want the one that's got the disc on it, well, now you're talking $100 on top of that also. And God forbid you want that PlayStation Pro, which was a complete waste of money, mind you, because the games look shittier on it. It's fucking hot garbage. Instead of paying $750 for it, now you can pay $900 for it. So cool. On a super old system, mind you, at this point, when it comes to like console generations, makes me miss the days of rocking my old PS4 at this point, because that thing is still going strong.
Yeah, my PS4 is still fine, but I'm like dreading the day when it's not anymore. I do have a PS5. I bought mine, I don't know, 2 years ago, I think. It was late summer or maybe very early fall of, I can't remember if it was 2023 or 2024. But I got it for $550, I believe. And I have the one that, but I have the one that has the disc thing. Because like I'm not buying a console if I can't put a fucking disc in it.
I'll explain to you later in this episode the flip side of that, because I actually added that for one of my later things. But I understand what you're saying, and it's something that probably wouldn't apply to you, but I'll do that one later.
Get into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know they were raising. Also, like you said, this system is, because when I bought it, again, I can't fucking remember when it was. I don't remember if it was 2024 or 2023, but either way, when I bought it, it had already been out for like a year at least. So yeah, we're looking at at best, like close to 4-year-old release, and they're raising the price that much. Like, no, that's not how this works. When I bought my PS4, it had been out for a year or two at that point, maybe a year. I think it had been out for like a year at that point, and it was already like $100 cheaper than it had been a year prior. I think I got like the Last of Us edition or whatever that came with a copy of The Last of Us, and it was still cheaper than it was when had been released like a year and a half prior to when I bought it. So it's like,
that's the part I don't understand about it being this late in the game and then hiking up. This is generally the time when they start dropping the prices on these things, but that's because there's a new PlayStation in the mix coming in the background, and I will tell you all about it towards the end of this episode, because I got some shit to say
when we talk about gaming.
Yes, because I got some shit to say about this.
Oh god. All right, well, should we move on to some Reddit stuff?
Let's do it.
Okay, I have 2 Reddit things to talk about in this episode. The first is less a Reddit story and more of a discussion. Maybe not discussion, but it's not really a Reddit story. It's just a Reddit post that happened about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little more. It might have been like 2 weeks and a day or two, but about 2 weeks ago, mid-March or so. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because the Reddit post was reflecting on the Axanar fallout. Did the community get swindled? The original post for this, and I'm just going to read the whole thing. It's not very long. The OP said, "I've been looking back at the state of Star Trek fan films lately, and it's hard not to feel frustrated by how we got here. Specifically, I keep coming back to Alec Peters and the Axanar project. To me, it feels like a massive breach of trust. Fans contributed over $1 million because they wanted to see a high-quality story. But instead of making that movie, donor funds were used to build a professional for-profit facility, Ares Studios. It feels like a betrayal of the mission. It's like someone lends you a car to run their errands, but you decide to use that car to drive for Uber on the side and pocket the profit. You're using their resources to build your own business. The real tragedy is that this quote, audacity, unquote, is exactly what triggered the 2016 fan film guidelines. Because of one person's attempt to turn a fan license into a private commercial engine, the rest of the community is now restricted by the 15-minute rule and strict funding caps. He didn't just stall his own project, he effectively poisoned the well for every other creator. Do you think the community was essentially conned into building a private studio? And years later, seeing how little has been released, do you think there should have been more accountability for how those funds were handled?" The post ended with the question, ultimately, does anyone else agree that Alec Peters is the reason we can't have nice things anymore? Now, I feel like in the past, the Star Trek subreddits have been anti any discussion of Axanar. So it's interesting that this post is still up and comments haven't been closed. For anybody who's a patron, who's at the level that you have access to our show notes, the link will be in there. I'll be honest, I always say, I will try to remember to put it in the links to these things, like in the actual episode description, but I never remember to do it. So sorry. But yeah, so it's interesting to me that this post is still up and the comments haven't been closed based on like past Axanar posts that have happened in literally any Star Trek subreddit. Personally, I think the questions in this post are more rhetorical than anything at this point in the game. Or would it be this point in the grift?
At this point in the grift. Yeah,
Lol.
probably.
But it was amusing to read through the comments, which overall seemed to vilify Peters slash Axonar and Paramount at nearly equal levels. Although those who vilified Paramount often weren't pro Axonar or even pro fan films at all. And Manny, like, you've known me long enough to know my take on this shit. I'm not going to go into any sort of detail on that here, but because I'm part of a Facebook group that focuses on calling out the Axonar grift, I have to admit that it's fun to see that I'm not just part of some little Facebook bubble, as the Alec and Axonar supporters seem to often claim. Like, there are plenty of people out there who have nothing to do with our little, aka over 1,000 member Facebook group, also saw/see the situation for what it is, because whoever this OP is, they have a ton of history on Reddit. I looked it up. I don't know who this person could possibly be. Could they possibly be a person who's in the Axomonitor Facebook group? Sure. I don't think so, though. There's so many commenters. And yes, there were people from Axomonitor. Like, I recognize you by your Redditor name because it's like the same as your, it's like literally your real name on Facebook, that sort of thing. People who I've actually befriended from the Axomonitor group who have the same username on like TikTok or something. Like, okay, I recognize your like X username. Sorry, that sounds bad because I don't mean X as in Twitter. I recognize your username from other social media, and I know you're somebody I know from Axomonitor. But most of the people weren't from Axomonitor. It was very fun to see, like, okay, no, it's not just like a bubble that I'm part of. There are a lot of people out there who do actually know what the situation is. A lot of the comments kind of said the same thing like over and over again, but I wanted to highlight one of the more overall popular comments, which was, the first Axonar fan film was very good and very well made. However, their behavior and actions have ruined fan films forever as they took it too far. They single-handedly caused so much damage to the fan community. Some areas of the community tried to blame Discovery and the new Star Trek films because apparently Paramount, CBS were scared that these fan films were too good. This is not true at all. Paramount for a long time were fine with fan films, but when they started selling merch, they being the Axonar people, when they started selling merch for an IP they didn't own, Paramount was going to get involved to stop it. I remember watching one of their BTS videos where they were talking about how they were going to set up a production house to make Star Trek films. And then the first response to that post, in quote, this is a quote, "They killed Axonar because it was better than Discovery," unquote, is the great lost cause narrative of the worst segment of fandom. Which I was just like, And again, like, do I know that these people are not part of Axomonitor? No, I know the OP definitely. Well, that's not fair. I am 98% certain the OP definitely wasn't, but also like I'm fairly certain at the very least the person who made the longer comment was not. And again, it was very like a weirdly cathartic thing to see this actually being talked about on Reddit and having people like seeing people who are just like, even if they disagree like with the way Paramount and CBS have done things with Star Trek shows and stuff in the past however many years, they were also very much like, well, yeah, gotta protect your IP, et cetera, et cetera. It was also a little bit hilarious to see Alec and a handful of his hardcore supporters show up in the comments and get wrecked.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like downvoted into oblivion to the point where like you only would see their comments if you like expanded every single comment and every single reply. And then it's like, oh, here's this long reply from like one of Alec's supporters, like, oh, Axonar is going to come out soon, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, The other reason this is so funny was because back in like January, someone on the Axonar side of things was like, it's 60 days out. 60 days out was like 2 or 3 weeks ago at least 3 weeks ago. It might've been 4 weeks ago at this point. It was like mid-March or so. They still haven't released anything. And then when this Reddit post was posted, which was again at least 15 days ago, Alec himself was in the comments saying it's coming out this weekend. There have been 2 or 3 weekends since then.
So what's coming out this weekend?
Well, nothing. I don't know. Is it coming out this weekend?
No, but what is supposed to come out?
What is supposed to come out would be the first, I think, of the two 15-minute episodes that they're allowed to release that are Axanar related.
I thought it was just dead.
They've been saying for over a decade now that
Yes.
or a decade now, whatever, that it's going to be released eventually, right? And then there's always something that delays it. And in January, the next 15-minute segment will be out in 60 days or 2 months or something. I can't remember if it was 60 days exactly or 2 months, but whatever it was, that passed on it like 3 weeks ago at this point. As we're recording this on Monday, April 6th. The deadline for them releasing it 60 days or 2 months from that January post passed weeks ago. So the post on Reddit was from around like the 21st or 22nd of March, right? I think it happened over the weekend, but like regardless, I want to say that the post was made at least a week after the 2-month mark or whatever of when it was supposed to come out from the announcement in January. It has been weeks since then. It has been weeks since this Reddit post. In the Reddit post comments, Alec apparently was in. I mean, I have been blocked on Reddit, so I'm working off like screenshots that people shared in comments elsewhere. But in the comments on the Reddit post, he was like, it's coming out this weekend, which would have been, I believe, the weekend of like the 28th. Okay, so 2 full weekends have passed since him saying it was coming out that we got delayed because of color correction or something. And it's coming out this weekend and it's still not out. So it's just like the whole thing is a joke. It's just a joke. And I
think, yeah. And this is one of those things where it's like, look, dude, like, I think the ship has just sailed at this point. I think that when the first thing that came out of Axanar, because when I had heard about it like a decade ago, like you said, I thought it was interesting. And yeah, I would have been completely on board. And from what I watched originally from Axanar, I will say, and you guys can nail me to the cross if you want, it was fucking better than Discovery. I
can't say better than Discovery because I've never watched Discovery, but I have watched it. I agree that it was good.
Yeah, like I thought it was good.
I have never once said it was bad.
Yeah.
Especially
I thought it was
fan
like
films go, it was great because fan films are generally very cringy, and this was like maybe a little bit cringy, but a lot less cringy than basically.
But also, yeah, but like also in saying that, man, you need to have a little more under your belt before you start taking the people's money to create a production studio to make like money from and stuff like that. You got to have a better proof of concept from that. Because let's face facts, give me a camera and $2,000, dude, and I bet you I can make a really great trailer for something. I can do some Blair Witch shit or something. You know what I'm saying? To make it like interesting. And then if I ask for people, hey, I want to finish making my movie, and then they give me $1 million, and I'm like, well, I bought a huge ass fucking studio, and now I need more money to actually make the film. That's a fucking problem.
Yeah, well, they've rented the studio, but also let's just say that the money went basically like there's a lot of argumentative opinions about where the money. There's one right thing about where it went, and the statements for that can be found in the Axe Monitor Facebook group, as far as I know, as far as I've seen. Anyway, it's just a hilarious thing that this has been going on for this long, and still they keep saying it's 30 days out, it's 60 days out. And now here we are like weeks after this Reddit post where Alec was saying in the comments, it's coming out this coming weekend. And it's been 2 weekends since then. And they still haven't even announced that it's coming out at any point.
It just seems that to use all that money to create some kind of like production studio, you are really rolling the dice on yourself there. Because even if it is good, whatever you develop next, people may not be into. And then you are going to be on the hook for having all this stuff and how you're going to pay for this stuff. Like, I don't know. It just, to me, that's, look, I'm all about taking gambles because I definitely am on the level of chaos that I'll roll the dice on myself sometimes, you know, but look, you can't guarantee those kind of things, you know, and Axanar may have been fucking great. If they would have done it and there was no interference from Paramount or CBS and everything, maybe it would have been fucking great. But maybe the next thing you fucking released, which would have been something else. If it was going to be a Star Trek something, then yeah, your ass probably was going to get pinned to the wall at that point. If you made a good fan film that everybody loved, and then you made a second one or two things are going to happen. Either Paramount's going to hire you to like develop something, or you're going to get pinned to the wall. Chances are you're going to get pinned to the wall. Okay.
Yeah. Paramount's not hiring some nobody from nowhere to develop.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, regardless of $1 million in money raised or whatever, and how good Axanar was, like, that's not how things happen. But hey, like, listen, some people just have very grand ideas of themselves.
And that's fine. Like,
that's where I'm going to leave that.
And like I said, dude, you roll the dice, but if anyone who's played the lottery and has been in the casino knows that you lose 99.99% of the time. It just seems that that's like, I get the tenacity and I get the like, okay, this is what we're going to do because I'm taking a bet on myself. But man, in that fucking industry, dude, to spend all that money, like, bro, you're going to be foreclosing on that thing in no time. Don't worry about it because you can't collect a ton of money on a fan film from an IP that belongs to another studio, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're just not going to. And people are just, imagine now doing a GoFundMe or a fundraiser for some type of production thing now in this economy. That shit ain't fucking happening, dude. Bro, people can barely afford rice and eggs at this point.
Moving on, I do have an actual Reddit story as well that I don't want to put this off till next month because this is a very interesting one. The title of this Reddit story is, Am I the Asshole for Refusing to Play Werewolf Ever Again? So I, 28 male, have a friend group that loves playing werewolf. And when I say loves, I mean they go all in. The problem is I am always the first one out. And I don't mean often. I mean literally every single time. Either I'm the first one killed at night or the first one voted out during the day. It's gotten so consistent that it's become a running joke in the group. People literally say things like, let's just vote out OP like always. Everyone acknowledges it. No one questions it. It just happens. At first, I laughed it off, but over time, it started to suck because what's the point of playing a game where you don't actually get to play? Fast forward to this weekend. We went on an Easter trip together and stayed in an actual castle. Oh yeah, because by the way, this is from like this past weekend. So they went on an Easter trip and stayed in an actual castle. Someone had the idea to do a full day version of Werewolf, kind of like the Traders where the game runs for hours. We all split into different rooms and waited for the first death notification. Guess who got killed first? Yep, me again. So now I'm stuck in a castle on a weekend trip I paid for with a game that's supposed to last hours, and I'm out within the first round, meaning I basically have to sit around doing nothing while everyone else continues playing. Later, when everyone regrouped, people were laughing about it and acting like, oh, wow, what a shame, OP is out again, like it's just some funny tradition. At that point, I'd had enough. I told them I'm not playing werewolf with you guys anymore. This is the last time. Now some of them are annoyed and say I ruined the vibe and that it's not personal. They even suggested I could act like the host from the Traders and run the voting rounds. But honestly, I don't want to spend my time facilitating a game I never get to play just so everyone else can have fun at my expense. I get that getting voting out first once isn't personal, but when it happens every single time and it's turned into a group joke, it stops feeling random. I'm still happy to hang out, do other activities, whatever. I just refuse to play this game with them anymore. So am I the asshole? So I'm just going to jump into like the verdict was pretty overwhelmingly not the asshole.
Yeah.
There were a few like outlier comments saying his reaction was kind of silly or over the top, or he should have just refused to keep playing with these people a long time ago, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of comments, there were quite a few comments saying that the commenters would rather have been voted out early so they could actually enjoy time at this castle. There were suggestions to play One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is a much shorter version, or some game called Blood on the Clock Tower. I looked into it a little bit. It's a similar-ish game that allows those who've been killed or voted out to still play somehow. But also, not shockingly, a lot of people were just pointing out that these so-called friends really suck, are clearly bullying the OP, and people being confused about how the OP doesn't think it's personal when it clearly is.
Yep.
I'm just going to go through some of my favorite comments real quick. This is the kind of thing that can be funny among a group of friends, but only if the recipient also thinks it's funny. Yes. Thank you. 100%. I think you and I have had some experience with people like this who think that treating their friends like this is fun. And at some point, like, you kind of look at it and you're like, wait, this isn't fun anymore. Like, maybe you're kind of bullying this person, but
yes.
you know, yeah, you and I both know this. Another comment I found amusing was, not the asshole because you finally put your foot down. Good. Your friends are bullies. They don't deserve you. I think if I were in your position, I would leave and let the friendship, quote unquote friendship, die. If you want to try to salvage things, you can sit them down and calmly but seriously explain that the joke has run its course and you're sick of being left out. You do not want to host the game. You do not want to watch the game. You want to play the game. So if they want you to stay, they can either pick another game or pick another activity entirely. If they care more about their werewolf joke than they do about having you as a friend, you'll leave. Unfortunately, there's no way to continue playing werewolf with them. Either they will keep voting you off first, or you will freak them out and they will stop voting you off. And either of those ruins the game. This is their fault, not your fault. The asshole in me would be tempted to sit them down and ask them to explain why voting you off first is so funny. Force them to explain why they enjoy creating situations where you are left out. Really grind it out of them. I mean, honestly, I would be that person too.
Yeah.
One comment that was a little bit more chill said, sounds like they've gotten too carried away enjoying this bit and aren't understanding that you, their friend, have had any joy sucked out of the game because of it. Instead of a fun joke everyone is in on and enjoying, it's become a them versus you in a game where once you're out, there's no more game for you. Stand your ground. If they really are good friends the rest of the time, then I'm sure they'll come around. There are variants of werewolf and other similar games that don't relegate the out player to doing nothing, but I don't know if I'd recommend that until they've backed off a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not. No, he's not the asshole. They just take off, bro. Take off.
Well,
Stop playing.
and I've played One Night Ultimate Werewolf a lot. And there was a joke for a while in a certain friend group where we called it One Night Ultimate Terrorwolf. Terrorwolf being me. Because the thing is, in One Night Ultimate Werewolf, it's cards. They're shuffled. Nobody knows. And I'm not even kidding you. There was like a period of time where I was always the werewolf. Or maybe not always, but let's say 95% of the time. But to me, that was funny because it was like, nobody's causing this, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Well, at least at first, nobody would know I'm the werewolf. But then it kind of became like we got to guess that Tara's the werewolf because they are always the werewolf. And they weren't wrong most of the time. That's the crazy part. But it was entirely by chance. Because again, One Night Ultimate Werewolf is a much shorter game. It's played with, it's like a card game essentially. So for me, it was funny and fun because nobody was causing me to get the werewolf card every time or almost every time. Now, I will say, since this post was made like yesterday or the day before, as of us recording this, that is, there isn't like an update per se, but the OP did respond to a couple of comments. Namely, someone asked how long this whole situation with him always being voted off or kicked out immediately had been going on. And Obi said, kind of responded saying like, this has been happening for like a year, but we don't play it every single time. We play it every couple months, maybe once a month at most. And they said, it's not like this is the only thing we do. We hang out regularly and often don't play this game. And then we have the best of times. I generally trust my friends and they've been there for me in hard times. It's just this one fucking game that makes me feel bullied by them. Yet again, like people coming in saying, well, yeah, because you are being bullied by them.
Yeah.
And I think that OP is in their late 20s and they're trying to say it's not personal, but like as I mentioned, like a lot of the commenters were pointing out like, yeah, it is fucking personal. And maybe the OP hadn't like expressed their distaste for this situation beforehand, but also like, even if somebody who is the person who's being like picked on or bullied or made fun of, even if it's supposed to be like all in good fun, even if they haven't expressed that they don't want this anymore, there is an extent where it's like, come on, how old are you? Just stop.
Somebody else in that group should have been able to be like, all right, hold on a second, guys. Let's not like, I mean, come on.
Oh, and I've been there. I've been that person that was kind of like, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. This thing that happened last night that you thought was super fun and funny, it turned not funny when this certain thing happened. And this needs to like, you need to pull back a bit. And then I was kind of like vilified, like, oh, this person, the person that experienced it, they're still having fun. They love us. They know we love them. And I'm like, if I was that person, I wouldn't know that. And also there is an extent where it's like the thing that I'm thinking about, I can't even talk about it really in detail, but like, it was so extreme where it was like, no, this isn't right. And it's also not safe necessarily. And I know this is a little bit like this post was a little bit different from that, but it really brought me back to like that. Why isn't there anybody else in this group that's being like, okay, maybe we should stop voting this person out first. Like maybe we should stop picking on this one person. Cause to me at this point, yeah, I kind of agree with that one longer comment that was like, they're all bullies. And I think you should just drop them. And I don't care that they've been your friends forever and that they are like good to you. The OP says most of the time or whatever, but it's like, but you're the butt of their joke. And at what point do you decide being the butt of their joke is
and the thing is that it comes off as innocent, right? Because it's just a game and you're just the butt of the joke in the game. But how long does that take before you become the butt of the joke in a little more serious kind of things or life things that fucking happen? You guys have been accustomed to treating him like the butt of the joke, he or she or whatever, that eventually that is going to translate over into other things. Oh, look at you. You're fucking drunk. You're throwing up all over everything. Haha, you dumbass. We're just going to leave you here. And you just figure it out because they become like the, in essence, non-intentional class clown of the entire situation. And you're always going to see them in that light. And you will always treat them in that light, whether you are in game or out of game.
To be fair, like maybe this isn't that. I don't necessarily think the situations I've experienced, and I'm not even talking about myself, I'm talking about somebody else. Maybe they weren't quite like that. But I also feel like having one friend that's always the butt of every joke, at some point, whether they will admit it or not, it's not fun for that friend anymore.
No.
And it just needs to stop. And also because I listen to like so many Reddit story videos and stuff like that, there's a lot of ones about like pranks, quote unquote.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I'm like real tired of pranks like this that make anybody feel like they're like left out or like not part of the group. And I don't know. This one hit home for me in a lot of ways, not necessarily because of anything I personally have experienced, but because I've seen it happen to other people and I've been uncomfortable. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Like I've been uncomfortable watching it happen. And come on, guys. And okay, like maybe you guys, there was at least one comment, maybe more, that was saying like, well, usually when somebody's like the butt of something like this, it's because everybody else in this friend group is like, oh, this person, ew, like, oh, there's something weird about you or wrong about you. And it's like, to an extent, yes, that could be the case, I suppose, because again, we're only getting the OP's side of the story, but also like, it's still not right. If somebody is squicking you out or whatever in your friend group, then just, I don't know, fucking kick them out of the friend group.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's a very,
seriously,
I don't know. I don't like this idea of, and I'm not saying that was the case in this particular group or whatever, but, or that it was the case in the things I've experienced. But I also just feel like having one person be the butt of not just like every joke, including ones that are not nice, is like, just stop at some point.
Seriously.
Do people really deserve that? If you think they do, then maybe you should just not have them in your life. Like if you think somebody really deserves to be treated like that because they're a bad person or whatever, then just don't have that person in your life. I don't know.
Exactly.
Anyway, any other thoughts on that?
No, that's a hard one to swallow because I've seen that, in real time. So.
Yep. Same. All right. What have you been watching?
Still watching Stargate Atlantis, moving forward with that still. We're still in season 1 with whatever free time Jen and I have to actually watch stuff, but still drinking through it. My kid got me to sit down and watch the movie Bottoms. That was actually a really good movie. Have you seen Bottoms yet? Have you heard about that?
No, not at all. I don't know what this is at all.
It's kind of like a weird, I don't know how to describe it. Almost like a Mean Girls, but not really. But modern storytelling, but not really. It's like these girls that are kind of outcast and they start their own fight club in school. And there's something about this movie that really nailed, even for me, someone who is generally much older than somebody who would kind of enjoy a movie that was made from somebody who's much younger. But they nailed the whole high school experience here that I was like, this is great. The movie didn't take itself seriously. I don't want to say too much about it, but I recommend it. It was actually a lot of fun. This was a good example because the two main characters are lesbians. So I'm like, cool. They did a great job on you caring about their characters, relating to their characters, as opposed to just making that the reason that you should relate to their characters, if that makes sense. It's that difference between force feeding it, as opposed to just making it more nuanced, because nobody cared what anyone's sexual orientation was in that movie as the movie progressed. Writing is writing, and I feel like this movie really nailed it. Aside from that, I've been watching a lot of random videos about financing and and the car market. Okay, so real boring stuff for everybody else. But the only advice I'm going to give on that last one is, for the love of God, don't ever buy a fucking Tesla, and don't ever buy a brand new vehicle for any reason whatsoever. Just wait a year. Buy a year old car.
Literally right before we got on this call, I called Dean because I was checking on the timing of the pod from California and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was driving, obviously on hands-free. But yeah, no, like literally right before we got on this live stream and I was talking to Dean on the phone, he was driving back to the house and he was like, holy shit. And I was like, what? Are you okay? He was like, yeah, like this person in this Tesla just like cut me off and like is like, now he's like, they're like veering through like all these other cars in front of me. The Tesla hit somebody and ran off. And I was like, well, Dean, you need to stop. You witnessed this. If it was a hit and run, like you need to stop and you know, be like a witness for that person. He's like, I can't, there's no point in stopping. The person that the Tesla hit chased after the Tesla.
Okay, so
I was like, okay, because when he said, I'm not going to stop, I was like, what? You have to stop. Like, at least make sure that if you don't stop, somebody else, at least make sure that if you're not going to stop and stay, that somebody else who is maybe closer to it, because he said it happened like several cars in front of him, stops and stays. But he was like, no, I literally have no reason to stop because the person that the Tesla hit is chasing after the Tesla now. I was like, all right, well, nothing you can do here.
Man.
Nothing to see here, sir.
Bro, for the love of God, man, you can edit this part out, but I'm fixing to go on a rant for a minute. For the love of God, don't buy a fucking electric vehicle. When you buy an electric vehicle, dude, what you're telling me, dude, like, look, everyone doesn't want to eat Chick-fil-A, right? Because they don't support LGBT, right? However, Tesla literally...
I mean, they are actively anti-LGBTQ. That's
correct.
It's not that they don't support it. They are actively anti. Just saying.
Correct. But some of these people who are making those arguments are driving fucking Teslas. So what you're telling me is that you are okay with child labor to slave over the lithium ion batteries that they have to mine out of the Eastern Bloc or in Africa and all this stuff. You're totally okay with child slave labor. That's cool. And you know what else you're okay with? You're okay with power plants being in neighborhoods that are where the poor people live, because you want clean energy. I believe in clean energy. That's cool. We don't want to use gas as long as, but it still uses electricity. It still uses power plants. However, these power plants are located in low income areas. So what you're saying is that it's okay to pollute those people, but not yourself. I'm sorry. But aside that, yeah, do your research on some vehicles. You can get some great pre-owned vehicles for about a year or two old, and you won't be upside down on it because of the depreciation of cars and stuff. So that's it.
All right. Anyway, so continuing with watching. So for me, things I finished or continued watching from March: Primal on HBO. This is season 3 of Primal. The season is ended. I talked a little bit about this last month where I was like, I'm not sure where this is going. I don't know if I really love it. Like, was it fun to watch? Sure. Was the 3rd season necessary? No. I felt like Primal is a show I really, really, really loved the first 2 seasons of, and I felt like it ended on like a really poignant, the ending was really poignant for the 2nd season. And I feel like the 3rd season kind of ruined that a little bit, honestly. Yeah. So it was still good. It was still fun to watch, but I feel like if I were to suggest this show to anybody else, as I am doing now, watch the first 2 seasons of Primal and don't bother with the 3rd one. That's just my thought. Paradise on Hulu. I finished the 2nd season of this, wrapped up. Another good show. I didn't really expect a lot of where it was going at first. The show is really good in the 2nd season, about not giving me anything I would have expected. It's post-apocalyptic sort of show. I don't want to really say too much about it because like I don't want to spoil anything, because I do think it's very much worth watching. So yeah, Paradise was good. High Potential also on Hulu. That one's still going on. The Pit. This will have finished by the time this episode is public as a podcast, but there's still like I think 2 episodes left. So I'll have more to say about it next month. But I'm still on the shtick of like what I said in March when it had first started airing, is like, I don't think this season is as good as the first season. It's good. It's good. There's some stuff that happens with like ice coming in that was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that, but I don't know how much they're going to be able to like wrap that up with only 2 episodes left. So like, this show it's on HBO. It's amazing. If you haven't watched The Pit, watch The Pit. Even if you don't like medical dramas, it's so, so good. And I'm sure I'll have a little bit more to say about it once it's actually wrapped up when we record next month. Things I started watching, some of them I finished and some of them I didn't. Depends on One Piece.
Yeah.
Like One Piece, they release it all, but I'm like 4 episodes in.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it a fuck ton, but
it's fun, right? Like it's different is what it is.
I'm enjoying it a fuck ton, but I
Yeah.
have not. One Piece is one of those ones that Dean and Camden and I all watch together. So that's why I'm so far behind on it. Like,
you have to wait. I haven't even started season 2 yet. Season 2 came out and I was so pumped about it, but with everything going on, I haven't even started it yet. So
let's make it our goal to finish One Piece so we can talk about it in May.
That would be great. Yes. Fantastic. We can do that. Yes.
For All Mankind is back. I've talked about this show at length. Just in terms of how much I love it and everything. We're only 2 episodes into this season. I don't really have much to say. It's For All Mankind. The first 2 episodes, they weren't amazing, but like, it's not like a dislike or anything like that. But the thing is, I know this show. It's very Ronald D. Moore. It's very Battlestar Galactica. It's like, I know they're going to give me shit that's going to break my heart. They've already given me some stuff I didn't expect, and they're only 2 episodes in. So another Apple TV show I started watching was it's a show called Imperfect Women. I don't even know how many episodes in it is because it's the first season. It's like fine. It's a thing to watch, I guess. Like I have nothing else to say. Like it's just a
show.
This is a show I'm watching. Daredevil Born Again season 2. We're 3 episodes into that. It's pretty good so far. I think that it's very prescient for the times. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say, but it's good. Randomly, I was on Netflix and this show got suggested to me. It's called St. Denis Medical. It's a show that's set in a hospital that's in the style of like The Office. So it's like a documentary or like maybe more like a mockumentary. It is nothing overly special, but so far it's like a fun watch. There's 18 episodes on Netflix. And like, if you like shows like that, like The Office, Parks and Rec, Superstore, you'd probably like this one. It's basically like the less serious version of The Honestly, like way less serious version of The Pit. It has its cute moments, and I enjoyed the 18 episodes that I watched. I will say, like, as with like Jim and Pam, The Office, right? Ben and Leslie in Parks and Rec, they've got that sort of shtick going on already, and I'm like, I don't see it between these 2 characters. Like, honestly, like I don't feel any chemistry between them, and I feel like this is weird. But okay, fine, whatever. Like the rest of the show is funny most times, so
yeah.
There's another show called Animal Control that I think I don't remember if I originally watched it. I think I originally watched it on Hulu. It's a CBS show or something. It's about an animal control department. It's supposed to take place in like Seattle area, but like you can so fucking tell they're filming it in California. Like that's the funniest part about it is like, okay, guys, come on. I get you didn't want to go to like the Pacific Northwest to film this, but you're definitely in California. But it's got Joel McHale from Community in it. One of the girls who is in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, who is like the funny, like sort of deadpan, but she plays like a totally different character. It's another like funny, lighthearted show. I had watched the first few seasons a while back. I did not realize that season 4 was airing, so I was able to binge a bunch of episodes. It's still airing right now, so it's just a fun thing to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also the last thing he told me, it's from Apple TV. There's 2 seasons. It's based on a book duology. So 2 books, only 2 books, but clearly they're stretching it into more than 2 seasons because I finished the 2nd season today and I was like, oh, okay. It's decent. It's nothing overly special, but it hooked me enough that I binged what's out there very, very quickly. It's got Nikolai Coster-Waldau, Jamie from Game of Thrones in it. Jennifer Garner is one of the main characters. And I do not know her name, but the girl that played Katie Heron in the movie musical Mean Girls. This probably should be in like the things I watched because why not nothing else section. But like it started as that, but then I kind of got hooked enough on the story that I was like, oh wait, I want to know what's happening. So I kept it's got its twists and turns. It was pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily like unless you're super into like crime sort of dramas and stuff like that. I wouldn't suggest it, but it's a good watch. Now I have to just like talk about this other thing for a second. This mini series called Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. It's on Netflix. Some of the creators of Stranger Things or something, I don't know. People from Stranger Things were involved in creating the shows. It's like 8 episodes. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking
Really?
It's so fucking terrible. It's so fucking terrible. It's kind of like horror / thriller sort of situation. And my sister is super into this stuff, like way more than I am. So she had actually started watching it. And the funny thing was, like weeks ago, we were talking about it and I had finished it literally that day or the day before. And she hadn't finished it yet. She was like 6 episodes in or 5 episodes. And I was like, honestly, please finish it. Cause she was like, I don't know if I want to continue watching this. And I was like, please finish it because I need somebody to talk to about this.
Yeah.
So she
That
did.
bad.
And as soon as she finished it, she texted me and was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, yes. Exactly. This is not a suggestion to watch it unless you really just want like a weird mind fuck nonsense. It is so bad. It starts off in this really, it's a type of show that it's like the first few episodes, it's like that uncomfortable horror where you're like, oh God, what is going on here? Like they're showing me this and this and this. And like, what is this about? And like, why is there this creepy abandoned ice cream parlor? And why is there an abandoned baby in a car? And then the parents come back and it's like supposedly no big deal and all this other stuff. Cause the whole thing is like this couple that's going to get married at the fiance's rich ass family's compound up in like middle of nowhere. I don't know, Wisconsin or Minnesota or Michigan, one of those upper cold states, right?
Yeah.
They say it's like 5 hours from, I think, Cincinnati at some point, or 8 hours from Cincinnati at some point. So it's like way up there, whatever. So you think it's supposed to be one of those like uncomfortable, like thriller horror where you're like, oh, you know, sort of what's going to happen, right? This family is super creepy and their whole drive here was super creepy. And it turns it on its tail and without spoiling anything, because there's this other part of me that's like, I want other people so that I have other people to talk about it with because it's so fucking bad and so weird. And like, I want other people to watch it so that I can be like, I was right. Like, obviously my sister, she was like, what the fuck? Even worse than I was. So I don't know. But it's called Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. And it is the stupidest, weirdest, worst. This might be the worst thing I've watched in a long time. Part of me wants to make Dean watch it because I was watching it while I was working or whatever. And part of me wants to make Dean watch it just so I can feel like
just to share the misery. Like, here you go.
Exactly. You know? I know that sounds dumb and bad and weird, but I don't know. Anyway, things I've watched because why not? Nothing else. More of The Nanny. That's it. The Nanny is great. Also, I think I forgot to send it to you. A video from Fran Drescher, like a reel from Fran Drescher, popped up on my feed the other day, and it was like a recent reel of her. And I swear to God, she looks better than she did in the 90s. And I was like,
yeah.
What
I've
the
seen her
fuck,
recently,
man? Like,
yeah, I saw her recently, and I was
what
like,
is she doing, and how can I get in on that?
Yeah, dude. There's just some people that just age like a fine fucking wine, dude. You know, and she's just one of those fucking people, man. You know, like
she looks even hotter than she did back then.
Yep, easily. Yeah, easily.
Granted, listen, I know there's Botox involved. I'm sure there's other work involved, but she doesn't look. Whatever she's had done doesn't look like weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you see those people that have work done and it's like, oh, come on, guys. She doesn't look like she's had a fuck ton of creepy ass work done. She looks just fucking great.
She probably did it right. You know, she did all that stuff right, where you do it subtly, not like, yeah, I want to have duck lips now. Can we do that? Can we make that happen?
Oh man, she's gorgeous. Anyway, have you been reading anything lately?
Man, hell no. Shit. Who's got time for fucking reading? Of course not, dude. I would read if I had fucking time to sit down for 5 fucking minutes.
Here's the real thing. Do I have time to read? No. Do I force myself to have time to read?
What have you been reading?
So last month I mentioned the book Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I don't have much to say about that other than what I said in March. So if you're listening to this and haven't listened to the March 2026 Day of the Saga, pretty much everything I said there applies. It was dark, but really good. I read this book called The Perfect Horse, which is a World War II history book about rescuing Lipizzaner and other and Arabians, like high-end breed horses in Europe during World War II. As history books go, it was well written, like an easy, quick-ish read. I'd gotten it as a Christmas gift, like I think 10 years ago, because it was published in 2016 and it's the hardcover that I have. It had been sitting on my bookshelf and I had run out of other books to read. And I was like, wait, I've never read this. So I finally read it. And like, I've actually been to Vienna. And one of the things I did in Vienna, Austria was I went to the Spanish horse riding school, which is the Lipizzaner horse riding school, which was gorgeous and such an amazing experience as a horse girl. It was kind of like one of those World War II fucking sucked, but this was one of those things where it was like, this is a nice story where the whole thing was basically like Germans, but mostly Austrians and Czechoslovakians and Polish people who had been working so hard to keep these horses safe. And then the Russians were coming west and they knew that if the Russians got hold of these horses, they would either basically conscript them into really dirty, dark, these horses that are specifically bred for very specialized show horses, like beautiful, gorgeous show horses that can do things that like the Lipizzaners can do things that other horse breeds literally cannot do. It was basically like Americans kind of rushing across the border they weren't supposed to cross into Czechoslovakia, because at that point, the Russians, Czechoslovakia was theirs, to get these horses back across the German border so that they could save them from that sort of like dark. And here's the thing, if those horses had refused to do the pulling carts or whatever the Russians wanted them to do, they would just shoot them.
Yeah, easily.
These beautiful animals. So it was, as World War II history books go, it was a light-hearted read. I also read 2 of the Dark Tower prequel graphic novels. One was called Long Road Home. The other one was Fall of Gilead. They kind of told stories I already knew, maybe a little bit more detail. And of course, they're graphic novels, so there's art and everything, but they kind of told stories I already knew from the Dark Tower books. So they were good, but I don't feel like they fed me anything interesting. They were still very quick, good reads. The art was pretty good. And currently I'm reading this book called The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. It's a sci-fi book. I'm like a third of the way through it, so I don't really have much to say. It's good so far. The first like few chapters, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this, but then I finally like actually got into it and it started giving me more about the characters and everything. I was like, okay, now I'm into it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit slow to start, but that happens. And then audiobooks, I listened to this book called It's Not Her by Mary Kubica. It's like a murder mystery thriller. It was fine. Family goes to this like remote location in like Wisconsin, like a lodge and cabins and stuff for like a family vacation, and a bunch of the family gets killed, and it was fine. I mean, I was surprised at how it ended and like who the killer was, but it wasn't anything special. I listened to You with the Sad Eyes, Christina Applegate's memoir. I don't know if you know anything about Christina Applegate recently, but yeah, I mean, you know Christina Applegate, Married with Children, Anchorman, Samantha Who, et cetera, et cetera. She was diagnosed with MS and has been really struggling with that. It's a very hard, dark disease. I actually, in my day job, I have done some work with programs with MS because I work tangentially in the medical industry. So I wanted to listen to that just because I like Christina Applegate. I think she's always been kind of like a fun person, but holy shit, man, You with the Sad Eyes. And also just a lot of like her feeling like I'm not pretty, I'm not thin enough. Like I know I'm good at this thing that I do, but I'm still never enough. It was like heartbreaking, but also part of the book is like she's reading from her diaries. I don't know. I haven't listened to a ton of celebrity. I've never physically read a celebrity memoir. Not that it matters one way or another, but I've listened to a lot of them and I've enjoyed a lot of them. And this is definitely, it's one of the more sad ones, but it was also like really just eye-opening and I don't know, good to listen to, read. I personally equate reading with listening to. The only reason I differentiate audiobooks is because I feel like, especially with like celebrity memoirs, you get a little bit extra when they're the ones, which they almost always are, who are reading their own. I think the only one I've listened to where it wasn't the actual person reading was the Britney Spears one.
I always like listening to those because it's always interesting to me that you get people like Christina Applegate who looks at themselves as being like less. But I went through the entire run of Married with Children, you know, when I was like 12 years old up until it ended. And like we were all Christina Applegate fans. Like we were like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful woman that has ever walked the earth. So it's always fascinating to me to hear these kind of things about the way they saw themselves back then, because it's like, dude, she was really beautiful, you know, like I'm not just saying, oh,
she is really beautiful. Yeah.
Like she's just very beautiful. Yeah. She still is. Absolutely. And she still is. But listening to those memoirs of one of them for me was the one that you had suggested, which was Paris Hilton. When I listened to Paris Hilton's one, look, and I'm going to say this right up. I've never pulled any punches on this. I have always been a Paris Hilton fan because I knew when she first came out, I knew what she was doing that was not her actual persona, because she was way too smart. When you would hear her talk when she wasn't in character, she was extremely intelligent. And I was like, okay, I know what you're doing. That girl was ahead of the curve. She created a persona just like all these TikTokers do and all these YouTube influencers. This girl was ahead of the curve, man. She knew exactly what to do. So I have always looked at Paris Hilton, got made fun of course, all the time, because I was always a big Paris Hilton fan, but not because of the character that she played on The Simple Life or anything like that. But it's because I could see right through her. So to get to hear her memoir and obviously hear her read it, it was fantastic. And I always love hearing that, because these people, even though with Paris Hilton, I was already a little older when she kind of hit the scene, but with Christina Applegate, I was young. It's just cool to hear their stories because, you know, you have this vision on who they are as a person just based on their character that they played in whatever show. But when you get to hear like the life part of it, it's like really good.
Yeah. So I very highly suggest listening to her memoir. It's definitely funny at times, and she has some great anecdotes. I will say, you know, she worked with Vince Vaughn on Anchorman, but then like she auditioned for a movie with him later and he like mansplained improv to her. And she was like,
good Lord,
I have already worked with you. And I was like, okay, well, I had zero thoughts one way or another about Vince Vaughn, but now I'm like,
yes, that's kind of gross. Yeah.
But this might have been in the news and I missed it at some point. When she auditioned for Anchorman, they weren't going to pay her enough. And so she was going to turn it down. She was like, no, this isn't enough money. They wanted her so bad that Will Ferrell and I think the producer or director, somebody, it must have been the director or the writer maybe, took pay cuts to pay her enough to be in that movie.
Wow.
Will Ferrell did that. I don't care how anybody feels about Will Ferrell. That right
Good
there.
fucking job. Yeah.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Yep.
I do highly suggest it, especially also because it does give some insight into like what it's like living with MS, which for sure you can Google it and you can like listen to MS influencers and stuff like that. But and I do also highly suggest that because it's a terrible disease to live with. But I think it's a little bit, it's sad that it is this way, but hearing about it from an actor that you grew up loving makes it a little bit more like, I remember when Dead to Me, which is on Netflix, I've watched that show. It's a good show. It's hard to watch at times, a lot of times, but it's a good show. It's also got, oh my gosh, what is her name? Linda Cardellini.
Cardellini.
And James Marsden, oh God, he's so hot. And she had been diagnosed with MS and it was like, God. So not only is she filming this amazing show, and MS is a terribly painful disease. And I don't know, it was, as soon as I saw her book pop up, I was like, yes, this is the next thing I'm listening to, because I've loved her. And I wasn't allowed to watch Married with Children. I was pretty young when it came out, but like my parents were also like, no, this is crass.
Yes. They would have been right. It was definitely like,
Oh, it
I
was
mean,
crass.
but
And here's the thing, I've
it's
never
satire,
watched
you
like
know?
more than a few episodes here and there of Married with Children, but
I love that show, man. I was a big fan of that. Because, I mean, look, in the end, it's just satire, making fun of that family dynamic, right? Because that was a very popular, like, concept of what the family looked like back from late 80s, early 90s.
mhm.
That's what it looked like. But I don't know. It was good.
Anyway, so I know playing wise, I'm just going to start with saying I've been playing nothing. There's a chance that soon-ish my gas bubble will be gone. My right pupil is still giant and you can see it. It's still not great, but soon this gas bubble will probably be gone because right now it's just this kind of like teeny tiny little black dot at the bottom of my eye. And at that point, I can get a more updated contact prescription and have
Mhm.
some time on weeknights to maybe play some stuff. The thing is, will I though? Guess we'll see. I don't know. So nothing
Yeah.
for me on playing, but you've been playing some stuff.
Yes, I actually am still playing Mass Effect 2, best Mass Effect out of all of them. But I am playing it now. I went ahead and before the previously talked about price hike happened, I went ahead and got a PS Portal, right? And if you don't know what the PS Portal is, it's a little handheld PlayStation device. It is not its own gaming system. It streams either the video games online through their servers or it'll connect directly with your PlayStation 5, regardless of where it's at in location. So like my PlayStation is in my house here, but I go stay at Jen's and that's where I play my PlayStation now,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because it's just like a little screen. Now, the only people who ever nailed this properly was Nintendo when they made the Wii U. That was a gaming system that nobody knew what the fuck it was about. They just did it, but it had that little handheld thing that you were able to play the games by just having the console plugged in. You didn't need to plug it into a TV. You can just play it because you use some kind of Wi-Fi, whatever the fuck. So when I bought the PS Portal, I was like, okay, this is going to probably be garbage because I have never seen streaming stuff work good since that actual Wii U. The Wii U was the only people who actually did it right. But I will say that I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how well it works. And the reason I got it was because when I'm at Jen's, we have Draven there. Draven is a 7-year-old child. You know, I cannot be playing Mass Effect or certain Final Fantasies in front of this kid. However, I am not going to be away from the love of my life either. I need a third option. The PS Portal was the third option and it works perfectly, you know, for exactly what it is. I do not need a 60-inch television with 8K, whatever the hell, to enjoy a good gaming experience like Mass Effect, which is over 10 years old at this point, or whatever, 15 years old at this point.
Yeah.
But going into that made me think of the future of console gaming. So I have kind of been going on the rumor mill when it comes to like these consoles and stuff like that. So the next consoles that are coming out for the PlayStation or for the Xbox, in essence, they're just going to be computers, right? The Xbox One is supposed to just run Windows. It's just a computer with the Xbox brand on it. And the PlayStation is now following suit, similar to like how the Steam box is and all that kind of stuff. And to me, I'm like, dude, why don't we just buy computers? Because in the end, a computer, I can run whatever the fuck I want. The PlayStation computer is only going to let me play PlayStation games on it, just like the Steam one only lets me play Steam games, not games that are just inherently running on Windows itself. Neither is Xbox, right? So what you're telling me to, the great conclusion of the argument that has been since the mid 90s is the PC versus console wars. Now in the end, you have your answer. The fucking PC won in the end, because now that's what they're trying to emulate. So the war is over. Okay, the PC master race is what won at this point. Because the consoles, right, even with the PlayStation 5, right, we talked about how much we paid for it when we got them. It's kind of pricey, right? But I guarantee you're not going to get a better gaming experience on a PC for $550. Guaranteed. It's literally the cheapest thing you can get that'll play really kick-ass games, and they'll look great. But now these consoles, they're talking about they're going to be in the $1,500 range. Again, it's a computer. Why am I going to buy a computer that has handcuffs on it that I can't do everything with? I have to do whatever PlayStation says or whatever Xbox says and all this stuff. So in the end, I feel like if that's what they do with this next generation, the console wars are over. The last survivor of the console war is going to be Nintendo, rightfully so. But between PlayStation and Xbox, all this crap, it's over, dude. The game's over at this point, man. Just get a PC.
Game
guys.
over.
Game over.
I mean, that's interesting to know. I didn't know about that thing that you're talking about, the PlayStation. What did you call it?
PlayStation Portal. It's actually really genius.
Oh, I feel like if Dean knew about that, he would have had one because he's going back and forth a lot. So he hasn't had like access and he's like mad that he can't play Fallout, mad that not mad. Mad isn't the right word.
Yeah.
He wants to play Fallout. He wants to play Helldivers. Like, can he do that with the PlayStation Portal?
Yes, he could. And I will tell you this, I have fiber in my house. At Jen's place, we just have one of those Verizon little tower boxes. The speed is not the best or whatever, but as long as I'm nearby it, dude, I can't tell the difference of whether I'm on my super robust network or that one. Whatever they did, they cracked the code to where it's like, this actually streams really freaking well. And I would dare you to see any real type of difference. Maybe slight latency issue, but nothing that is actually noticeable if you're playing something like Fallout or if you're playing something like Mass Effect or something like that. If you're doing some competitive Fortnite, okay, maybe you'll notice a little bit of a difference, but I would recommend it because they just upped the price on this thing too. I got it for $200 and now they upped it to $250.
Jesus.
Because of the PlayStation price hikes. But honestly, there's some things I don't like about it. Unless you have the actual PlayStation $200 headphones that connect to Bluetooth, you can use it on there. If not, you got to plug it in with the old 3.5 jack. Yeah, ye old 3.5 jack. But it's actually a really pleasant experience using it, and it's extremely convenient. And I've even ran it from the hotspot on my phone and got it to work pretty good. So honestly, because I bought it with the intention of like, oh, I'm probably going to return this thing because anytime I've tried PlayStation streaming shit, it's never worked good.
Okay. Have you been listening to anything recently? I'm just going to say, I'm just still kind of listening to Reddit stories and I really haven't listened to anything new. So
I haven't listened to anything new either. It's just been the same music in my rotation that's been there for the past few months.
Conclusion, upcoming events are things we are excited about.
Just getting my move done. I just want to get my move done and then be done.
I get that. I have a wedding that I'm going to, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. Again, by the time this goes live as a podcast, it will have already happened. So it's a family wedding in South Carolina. There is this festival in Greenville called Artisphere that's happening like May 8th through the 10th, I think. I'll hopefully be able to go to that. And then I'm going to New Orleans over Memorial Day for my 25th BFF anniversary with my BFF from Connecticut, but we'll record before then. So those are kind of like you. I have this month of like hell ahead of me, essentially. And
so get it over with,
I mean, listen, like my major fun thing happened in March. I went to Disney with my family. It was great. I hadn't been in like 4.5 years, which is, I think, the longest stretch in my adult life that I haven't been to Disney, because I used to like run all the races and then I lived there for a while. It was a very different experience going back after that long and going with like my whole family and trying to coordinate 14 people and everything. But we had a really good time. So that was a plus, but I don't have anything like big coming up like that. And then this summer we've got a lot of crazy things going. I mean, obviously House of the Dragon is coming out, so eventually we'll have hot tea takes. I am finally starting to have to start planning for Dragon Con, which is like, I don't know if I enjoy the fact that I'm having to start planning for it, but I'm doing it. As we close out the episode, we once again want to give a huge thanks to our patrons for their support. Make sure to check out our other Geek Saga show series, including Media That Made Us, 90s and Naughties Cringe Factor, The Impulsive Hyperfocus solo episodes, and more. And please do not forget to like, subscribe, or rate us 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening. And as always, please also consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.